I'm not much of a pollster. I do enjoy looking at polls every now and again. The only video I posted last week was a poll about how Gen Z is seemingly turning on Donald Trump. His approval rating with that group has tanked quite considerably since the election. Of course, this is a group that you can't really rely on in elections. This is a group that largely votes based on vibes, probably more so than any other group. And I don't have any data to say that. I just know how young people operate. But it's clear that they voted for Trump. Their material conditions have not changed, and they're beginning to sour on him. We're getting similar results from Gallup. Trump's job approval rating at 45%. Congress jumps to 29%, which is fucking insane. How Congress is being viewed more favorably, I literally cannot comprehend. And this is why polls are so fun, because it is a thought exercise. And the data is open to interpretation because these don't make sense. Congress is owned, Congress has a Republican majority, and these Republicans are largely in lockstep with Donald Trump, whose approval rating is falling slowly. Less than 1 month into his second term in office, President Donald Trump's approval rating is at 45%, similar to his first post inauguration reading of 47% in January. Trump's ratings on several issues that his administration has targeted in the first weeks of his presidency are similar to his overall rating, including immigration 46%, foreign affairs 44%, foreign trade 42%, and the economy 42%. Meanwhile, slightly fewer Americans, 40% each, approve of the president's handling of the situations in Ukraine and in the Middle East between the Israelis and Palestinians, as fewer offer opinions of his performance on those two issues. None of these are good. He's not a very popular guy by any means. He wasn't popular in his first term. He's not popular anymore. He's popular amongst Republicans, and that's it. But to be an overwhelmingly popular political figure, you have to be able to transcend these boundaries. You have to have your base, which Trump definitely does, but you also have to have policy that appeals to people who don't like you. In this case, it's Democrats and independents. When we talk about this, really the only active working politician who we can point to, at least in the Senate, is Bernie Sanders. Consistently the most popular member of Congress. I believe we can start putting AOC in that conversation as well, especially how she ran in a district that split the ballot between her and Donald Trump. But when you're a progressive person like that, you have such ease to reach out across the aisle because when you advocate for these things like Medicare for all, a higher minimum wage, the ability to join a union more easily, that applies and that would materially benefit the lives of working class people regardless of which way they vote. And the electorate understands that. The electorate understands that a guy like Bernie Sanders has their best interest at heart and that he wants them to be able to make a better life for themselves and that he actually gives a fuck about that. This is the same guy, mind you, who currently is going on tour to swing districts who flipped from Biden in 2020 to Trump in 2024 to help spread this message about the devolvement into fascism that we're experiencing. I think it's like the Fight the Oligarchy tour. That's the name I can't quite recall, but like compared to the other idiots in Congress, whether they're Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries talk about going to the fucking Silicon Valley to meet and maintain a few billionaires in his contact book, or you have Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and several Republicans who are, at this time are discussing cuts to Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, things that would have an objectively horrible impact on so many communities that they represent. The latest ratings from a February 3rd through 16th Gallup poll conducted as Trump continued to sign an unprecedented number of executive orders, memoranda, and proclamations addressing a wide array of policy areas, including the six covered in the survey. I will note that it doesn't specify how many people were polled in this, which is a little strange. So take with this what you will. Again, this might not generally be reflexive of the overall population, but it seems like it could be. Additionally, it is a little weird for a sitting president to be losing popularity a month into their term. Usually the honeymoon phase lasts longer. Usually the honeymoon phase lasts longer, but it's a testament to just how rapid and destructive Donald Trump is with his executive orders. And it also doesn't help that he's giving a massive platform and allowing Elon Musk to exert such tremendous influence. Musk has a net favorability of like minus 26%. Donald Trump's connection to Elon Musk is detrimental to his popularity because people recognize that Donald Trump is still the president, and Elon Musk is allowed to do these things because he was appointed by the president. 93% of Republicans, 37% of independents, and 4% of Democrats approve of Trump's job performance overall. Republicans also broadly approve of the president's handling of immigration, 92%, foreign affairs, 90%, the economy, 90%, and foreign trade, 89%. None these I don't know how you can look at these things and say, yes, I overwhelmingly approve of all of them. Immigration, first of all, Joe Biden put up better deportation numbers than Donald Trump did. Barack Hussein Obama, put up way better deportation numbers than Donald Trump did. Both of those Democratic presidents were stricter on immigration than Donald Trump is right now. So I don't know how you can even interpret that and say he's doing a good job. Foreign affairs, objectively untrue. He's souring relations with Canada, with Mexico. He's talking about taking over Greenland. Denmark is mad at him. The European Union is mad at him. The United States is no longer providing aid to help treat disease in Africa. They're no longer feeding children in food deserts in underdeveloped countries. The economy is not great. Interest rates are still incredibly high. Eggs are like $6 a dozen at Walmart. Prices are out of control. Workers are still living paycheck to paycheck. And foreign trade, he hasn't done anything on foreign trade. He's talked about tariffs. Largely foreign trade is untouched. Another 80% of Republicans each approve of Trump's handling of the situations in the Middle East and Ukraine. He said, day one, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine. The war has not been ended. We exist in a postmodernist society where truth is not real. Truth is vibes based now. Whatever you think the truth is, roll with it. You can walk outside, tell me that the sky is green and the grass is blue, and I can tell you no, it's not. And then someone like Donald Trump could say, no, actually it is. Look at it. And I'm like, what do you do with that? How do you engage in good faith with that argument? I'm not surprised about the Middle East as well, because no one, white Americans overwhelmingly do not give a fuck about Arabs. I mean, we saw this from both the Democratic and Republican parties, how neither of them were interested in protecting the Palestinians. Joe Biden had a closed door meeting where he also proposed the same ethnic cleansing campaign that Donald Trump talked about publicly. You're dealing with one party in regards to foreign policy. At the same time, Democrats register single-digit approval ratings of Trump on all six issues, measured. Aside from independents' 40% rating for the president's performance on immigration, their ratings range from 31% on the economy to 37% on foreign affairs. I think that the independent numbers are probably the most accurate and most reflective of the vibes in the country right now, because the Republicans love Trump. The Democrats hate Trump, at least those who are tempted to respond to polls. Again, that's another thing you have to consider when it comes to polls, is that not everybody is interested in them. Like I have tremendous amounts of brain rot when it comes to politics and engaging in discourse like this, and I don't fucking respond to polls because I don't care. Like, what the fuck is a poll going to do for me? But it's fun to interpret this data when other people are like, you know what, maybe I should fill out this poll and have my opinion be heard. But independents, I think, offer the most accurate representation of everything, because it's not overwhelmingly positive, which is clearly biased, but it's not single digits, which I don't think is reflective of anything. You're very rarely going to have single digits on fucking anything when it comes to politics. The 89% point partisan gap in Trump's overall job approval rating is among the highest Gallup has measured for any president. The only larger gaps were 92 and 90 points also for Trump, both in the fall of 2020 as he sought re-election to a second term. The next highest partisan gap in approval was 88 points for Joe Biden in October 2021. Trump's rating was better than his first term, worse than all presidents since 1953. That is horrible. Think of all of the shit presidents that we've had since 1953. Just objectively bad leadership when it's, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton. Like, literally every president since 1970 has been trash. And yet Donald Trump is still the worst. Trump's job approval rating is 15 points below the historical average for all other elected presidents in mid-February since 1953, but it is 5 points higher than the February reading in his first term. Bill Clinton has the next lowest mid-February rating for a newly inaugurated president, which at 51% is 6 points higher than where Trump is now. John Kennedy and Jimmy Carter were the highest rated at this point in their presidencies. Before Trump's first term, the gap in partisans' approval of presidents in their first February in office ranged from 21 to 60 points. In 2017, that gap rose to 79 points for Trump, increased further to 84 points in 2021 for Biden, and is now a record high 89 points for Trump. Where are we? President Trump, in his first term, 40%. 45%. Again, Bill Clinton, 6 percentage points is a massive gap in a poll. That's ridiculous. He's the only president to be below 50% approval, and he did it twice. This guy is the Michael Jordan of being ass. He is the Shaquille O'Neal of being disliked. We have never had a more unlikable ghoul in the Oval Office. This is if you polled Sauron's approval amongst hobbits or among all of the people that lived in Middle Earth. Donald Trump is probably more unliked than Sauron is. Trump's current ratings on foreign affairs and economy are also historically low compared with early term ratings for other recent presidents. His latest 44% on approval ratings on foreign affairs, though better than the 38% he earned at the same point in his first term, is lower than those of Biden, 56%, Barack Obama, 54%, and Clinton at 53%, and similar to George W. Bush. It's also weird that Donald Trump is the only two-term president to have both of his terms up here. That's strange. I wonder why That is because Obama served 2 terms and only 2009 is up here. Reagan served 2 terms. George W. Bush, pardon me, served 2 terms. That's really interesting. Republicans plus 8 points and independents plus 7 are more likely to approve of Trump's handling of foreign affairs now than in 2017, while Democrats' ratings of him on the issue are essentially unchanged. Trump's approval rating on the economy now, 42%, is lower than his 48% rating in February, as well as the first-time February ratings for Biden, Obama, and Bush. Clinton's 45% economic rating in February 93, however, was similar to Trump's latest. While 9 in 10 Republicans approve of Trump's handling of the economy, independents' approval is now at 13% points lower at 31%, and Democrats is 8% lower at 5%. Is Donald Trump more like Bill Clinton than George W. Bush? Whenever, obviously not in terms of actually, no, in terms of policy, I think we could probably make an argument. Everyone's always like Donald Trump is George Bush on steroids, and I do agree with that to a degree. But seeing these numbers compared with Bill Clinton, we might have a case. That would be if we started comparing Donald Trump to Bill Clinton, I think he would lose his mind. His least favorite people, probably. Republicans drive increase in congressional job approval rating. I don't understand how. I don't get it. Americans' approval of Congress has jumped 12 points since early January to 29%, which is the highest rating since May 2021. Until now, congressional job approval had not risen above 20% in just over 2 years. Oh my God. Congress is so cooked. Bottom line, Republicans' widespread approval of Trump's overall job performance and his handling of immigration, foreign affairs, foreign trade, the economy, and the situations in Ukraine and the Middle East is not enough to earn him majority-level ratings among all Americans. This is because independents' approval of the president is weak and Democrats is nearly non-existent. I think that, again, that definitely tracks. Democrats are entirely opposed to Trump, and most independents are opposed to him as well. I think because at this point, if you in 2017 or in 2016, there was some plausible deniability for independents who swung Republican, because prior to that, you could have independents who were like, yeah, I like Mitt Romney, right? The Romney style Republican allowed for independents to vote for Republicans without being so detrimental socially. Mitt Romney, for as freaky as he is a very old school Republican, right? Low taxes on wealthy people, low taxes on business. You guys can have your gay marriage. You can do all the things that you want to do socially, but just let me hold on to my money. That doesn't exist anymore. So all of those independents have either gone to be moderate Democrats or they're Trump Republicans. Trump's first 2 job approval ratings have both been below 50% due to relatively low support among independents. Similar to his first term, but lower than what Biden enjoyed early in his term. Like Trump, Biden registered exceedingly high approval from his party, but very low approval from the opposition. Republicans are also pushing overall approval of Congress to its highest point in more than 2 years as they seek to enact Trump's policy agenda. However, history has shown that partisans' approval tends to fade somewhat after an initial honeymoon period. I think that by the end of this year, Donald Trump will be more unpopular than Joe Biden ever was. I would not be surprised if Trump's popularity dipped to the low 20s. If planes keep falling out of the sky, and if the prices of shit continues to go up, and if there is no material benefit given to the 99%, and they even think about gutting the welfare state further when it comes to SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, heads will roll. We could be in the midst of the most unpopular, not only president, but the one of the most unpopular world leaders that we have ever seen, because things are going to deteriorate very rapidly. It doesn't matter what your view is on the administrative state. There are so many agencies that that you come into contact with without noticing. Think of the FDA, the USDA, the EPA. Donald Trump is working to exterminate those agencies in the midst of looking to give a $4.5 trillion tax cut to his wealthy benefactors. Who pays for that tax cut? Low and middle income earners. Always have, always will.